what else we got? You want to talk about our pinnacle of filmicals?
Yeah, that's all we got.
Okay, so again, we are breaking down the top 100 movies of all time.
Did you screen cap it this time?
What do you mean screen cap it?
Remember we were talking about last week how we should freeze it?
Oh, I did do that. So
right, cool.
I did freeze frame it as of, what was it, October 6, 2016, the top 100 movies. By the way, if like a movie does rise up like a new movie, which is really all that would happen,
I'm sure we would
cover it anyways. But this week we're on number 95.
Yes.
This is the 1921
classic
silent film, The Kid, not the 2000 or 1999 Bruce Willis starring movie.
With Bruce Willis.
This is 1921. This is, I think, for me, this is probably the oldest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think, I mean, this was something in like history or like growing up in high school that I can't think of, but I think Gone with the Wind, all that stuff was well after this.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think this is the oldest one I've seen.
But this is a Charlie Chaplin film. So if you don't know who Charlie Chaplin was, he's a very influential comedian, screenplay, director, writer, composer.
Yeah, I mentioned this about David. It's like in the beginning, obviously the credits, he directed, produced, obviously acted in it.
Yes.
Wrote it.
Yep.
And he composed the freaking music to it.
Yeah, he composed the score.
What can you do, guy?
Now, originally in 1921, when this movie was released, there was no music to it. There would be like a live orchestra or a band that would play along.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, of course.
So cool.
Yeah, that was, and then I guess I think it was either the 60s or 70s. He came when this movie got quote unquote re-released. He went back and said, "I want to write the score," and he wrote all of the music for it. So the movie is think of like like silent, like the words come up and it'll say what they're saying and then it moves on. It's just, just moving pictures. It's about what, an hour long?
Yeah, it's about an hour long. The description is the tramp cares for an abandoned child, but events put that relationship in jeopardy.
Now, when you say the tramp, because we don't use that term in that way anymore, tramp means like a hussy, right? But a tramp means like a bum or like a hobo.
Yeah.
Would be a better way to say
Charlie Chaplin played the tramp.
Yeah, so and that's probably the character
1 hour and 8 minutes.
Yeah,
so.
That's the character he's probably known most for, is that particular character, Charlie Chaplin. And so there's like four main characters in the movie. You have Charlie Chaplin, who plays the tramp or the hobo. You have the kid, who is this like little tiny baby at the beginning of it. You have the woman and you have the man. And the movie is we'll do our review before we talk about spoilers. Again, 1921. I know it's an old movie, and like this is weird. It's like 100 years old. This movie, which is like, it's just weird to me. Like that's just odd. Like, are we going to say the 20s when we talk about the 2020s?
I don't know. What do they say? The teens?
No, do we do that?
I think they say the teens.
Well, but
20 teens?
When we talk about, like, when I say remember the 20s, like everyone thinks of like the 1920s. But like, what did people in 1920 think about the 18? Did they call the 1820s? I always thought that was weird.
So.
Anyways,
yeah, I don't know.
So it's a completely silent movie, and there's actually, even with the screens that come up that show dialogue, it's very minimal. There's not even...
Yeah, I was actually I was kind of worried about the silent picture thing. Like every other 5 seconds is going to be text displayed. It's almost like subtitles, and that was actually very rare. It really helped setting the stage.
Yes,
and everything is just more centered around the music, which is amazing.
Yeah, especially from your background, you would dig that.
Yeah, I love the soundtrack to this. And then obviously the acting, and you have to be more animated with your hand movements. You can tell if you're watching the YouTube video.
Yeah.
But you have to be more animated, the way you talk and stuff. So you don't necessarily need subtitles after every scene, which is great.
I was also surprised how much of I could read their lips. Like, I'm like, I know what he said, because I can read his lips.
What's going on. And
context
that's
is
the credit
super
to the
important.
actors. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, the movie basically is about this woman who has a baby, and she's going through some issues about keeping the baby.
Like a free clinic.
Yeah, about having the baby, and ultimately what she does is she leaves the baby
in a rich car.
Yeah, she leaves it in a car.
That's a plan.
Yeah, and then she walks away. A bunch of events occur where the kid ends up with the tramp or the hobo, and then she obviously has some remorse, and then there's this whole idea of her trying to find her kid and searching for her kid.
But it's like 5 years past.
5 years
so
past.
Where most of the movie is where the kid has grown up with him.
And he's basically raising him as a father. And I don't want to spoil anything until we get to the spoiler section, but let's do our review. So remember, Thumbs Up is a great movie, and again, it's on a curve. So this deserves to be in the top 100 movies of all time, where it's currently at 95, and that's pretty low on the list, of course, but it's still it's greater than a lot of other movies. Yeah. Thumb to the side is it's a good movie. I don't necessarily think should be in the top 100
or where it's at,
particularly. And then thumbs down is again, we always call it an accounting error, but it is
what is it doing?
What is it doing here? This movie doesn't belong. 1, 2, 3. Mine's to the side, and yours is thumbs up.
I have a bad feeling that every one of these movies are going to be thumbs up for me, but we'll see as the list progresses.
No, but it's funny because like when we were going to watch this, my wife's like, I don't know if, because she's been watching along with me because she hasn't seen a lot of these movies. She hasn't seen a lot of movies, period. So it's like cool to like really expose her to like Rashomon and The Kid. They should never watch those movies, right? Yeah. And as soon as it started, she was like, I don't want to watch this. This seems weird. You just watch it. But then I was like, just give it 5 minutes. And like within
it's only an hour, so it's like
within the first 5 minutes, the woman seeing her acting like with her baby, and then going through the hard decision to basically give away her baby, the hook lines. She was like, okay, like there was enough.
Just the acting, like you said, you don't have the sound and stuff, so it's all about your face expressions and your movement, your animating with your hands and stuff. And that is like what sold this movie for me too.
Yeah, and what's great about the movie is it strikes a perfect balance of being sad and very funny all at the same time.
Oh yeah, there were some very funny parts.
Like there's some classic like laugh out loud moments where I was like, I can't believe I'm laughing at this because it's so stupid, but it's great. The reason for me it's not a thumbs up, it's not a fantastic, deserves to be on this list, is because of the fact that it's just, I wouldn't watch this movie again. I'd never have no desire to watch this movie again. And it's not because it's not a bad movie. It's just not my cup of tea. I like the comedy in it. I really do enjoy the movie. I just think it shouldn't be on the list. I think because of its time period and its cinematography and its acting, and because it was in the 1920s, it deserves all the accolades, but it's a product of, it's good because of its time frame. And that has more to do with why it's so impressive versus is it objectively a good movie versus like A Few Good Men or Rashomon or whatever, right? And that's why it's not a thumbs up for me.
I think it's a great movie because one, I'm not a big fan of, or I haven't seen a lot of Charlie Chaplin movies. My wife has, but he's known that he's one of the best or most influential people to influence film. And this is, I think, must be one of his first ones. It's color as it goes.
It's an earlier one for sure.
But the fact that he did all that, like directed, produced, wrote, obviously acted and composed the music, and the fact that he just did all that is just like, dude, that's freaking amazing. Like no one does that anymore.
And there are like,
you see writer directors now and stuff, but you don't see. I mean, maybe composing the music is like the stretch, but everything else, it's just like he wanted to make a movie and he made the movie.
He's like the Lin-Manuel Miranda of his day, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Or the other way around, right?
Yeah, so that blew me away. And then, like I said, I haven't seen you. I mean, we're so used to, like we're saying, actors with sound and all that stuff. The fact that they don't have that technology is they have to act much better than like today's actors.
Right, they have to convey. And this movie conveys some really, really powerful emotion through no sound. And it's really impressive.
Yeah.
We'll get into the spoiler section here in a second. But I think that was my favorite part. I will say the child actor in this, freaking amazing. He actually went on to be Fester in the Addams Family TV
really?
show.
That's him?
No, that's him, which is kind of weird. But he's like a cute 5-year-old and turns into like a really creepy looking. What's his name? It's like Roy Cougar or what's his name? Jackie Coogan. Jackie Coogan was the kid. But he was obviously known for this, but he went on to be Uncle Fester. And I wasn't lying. You can check it on. But he was also in a bunch of other movies. He ended up being a big star later on. And then I think also too, the woman who plays the woman is she in the movie, after she gives away her kid, she ultimately becomes like this rich
5 years. Yeah,
she becomes
like
this rich. She's like an actual star. Like she was an actress. She was kind of playing herself.
Oh, okay.
Not giving the kid away, but being a famous movie star in her life.
Yeah.
So again, I think. Oh, I did want to mention this. There are like cinematography tricks done in this movie that are like amazing for its time. Like I'm pretty sure the only way they could make cuts in footage is literally like physically cutting footage
and then putting it back together in the editing room.
Putting it back together in the editing room. And like there's moments in this movie where they do it, like there's this whole dream sequence and like he's sleeping in an alley because he's a hobo, of course, a tramp, right?
Oh, and the transition?
Yeah,
so,
and
like,
the transitions.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, and then like there's
that like almost blew me away. I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could do that in 1921.
Right. And that's why I was like, and it's not done in a way that seems haphazard. It seems very smooth. And like there's also a couple scenes where they have like, because it's a dream sequence, he sees like angels and stuff like that. And people are on wires. And I was like looking for the wire and I can't see the wire. I'm like,
flying dog.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, exactly.
flew away.
Right. And like, I'm like, Starship Troopers look like crap. I could see the wires in that movie. And that movie was made in 1999. And this movie was made in 1921.
Yeah.
So
the fact that you can't find good kid actors these days, in 1921 you found like one of the best. It's crazy.
Get Jackie Coogan to do Star Wars. I mean, come on, episode 1.
You don't need Jake Lloyd. died.
Yeah. So again, I think it's definitely worth watching. But this feels like a movie you should watch because of its time and because of its import to the genre of film, silent film. I think it's probably the only. Maybe it's not the only silent film on this list, but it is again a very powerful movie. That being said, I want to get into spoilers.
Sure, let's do it.
What was your favorite part?
Dude, I don't know, man. That's hard.
I have a favorite part.
I'm trying to think.
Oh, okay, I have a question.
I'm trying to think one of the parts I chuckled at, like him getting out of bed and seeing the hole and it turned into like a poncho. Like that was super funny. I don't know why. It's like that was hilarious.
It's very. I used to watch Three Stooges a lot when I was a kid. It's very slapstick comedy, very like.
Right around the cop bumping him on the head.
Yeah, that stuff like yeah, very Benny Hill. That's all this stuff takes influence from Charlie Chaplin. I mean, he is literally was there first. There's two parts that I like. One I couldn't stop laughing was the tea kettle. Okay, so he has the baby, right?
Oh,
and then he puts the baby in like this little like suspended from the roof of his house. He puts him in this like hanging bassinet, and then he doesn't have a baby bottle, so he takes like a tea kettle and puts a nipple on it and like puts it in, and the baby's literally sucking on the nipple like it's an actual baby.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's hilarious.
No, the
like,
part where like the baby's doing that and he fixes it and he's like chatting with the baby and stuff. That part was pretty funny.
Yeah, and Charlie Chaplin has got to be one of the most lovable actor characters ever. Like you immediately fall in love with him because even when he's doing stuff that's kind of shady, like with the whole window racket where he gets the kid to throw rocks at the window and then he walks by with a window and I can fix it for you. Yeah, and he's like trying to hook up with the customer. Like, but it's all out of love and silliness, and like you don't ever think like, oh, that guy's an ass. Like, but my favorite part of this movie is probably the part that got me like, oh my God, like is the part when so throughout the movie, again, if you haven't watched the movie, we're going to spoil it, but later on, the woman finds out, or the kid gets sick, and then a doctor comes in to see the kid. When you're unfit, you're unfit, CPA. And he tells him, he's like, well, who's the parents? And he's like, aren't you the dad? And he's like, well, no, not technically. I found this kid, and he was in a gutter, and
the note I found with it.
Yeah, and here's the note, and so. That person calls like Child Protective Services and they take the kid away. And there's this whole scene where the kid is being taken away from his father. I mean, he's raised him. He's 5 years old. He raised him when he was a baby. And just the emotion in that kid's face.
He was like screaming in the car.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I just want my daddy. You can read his lips like, no, my daddy. I want my daddy. And it's just like the worst thing ever. Like, and the
guy just like shoves his head into the thing.
Oh my God! And,
But like after that, when he finally like hugs him in the thing or something, you're just like, oh, and then like they're like, whoops, he saw us, and they run away.
Yeah, bam. Like, and I think at the very beginning it says this is a film that'll cause you, or this film is intended to make you cry, but also crack a smile or something like that. And that's really what it's such a. There are movies that do this that really. It's Pixar. That's really what it is. Pixar knows how to tug at your heartstrings.
And that's a big part of that is the music in this too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then at the same moment, make you laugh while you can't see through your eyes because there's such a funny moment. And that's missed on a lot of movies is like either we have to be sad. It's got to be a sad...
super serious.
Or it's got to be funny. And it's like one of the best things is like the juxtaposition of being funny and being sad. Like... It's great to laugh when you're crying. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone's had that moment in their life where it's just like, this sucks. I hate this, but I have to laugh, right? Because it's just like, get over it or whatever, right? But
I did have a couple things that I thought were kind of weird. One, at the very beginning, it's like, it cuts from her leaving the hospital with the baby to like a scene of Jesus and then cuts back to like her putting the baby in. Like, I didn't really get that.
I think it's just a burden. I think it's the burden. It's the whole idea. Okay. He's carrying the cross up, his burden, gotcha. And that's why it says her only sin was childbirth, right?
Oh, okay.
And first of all, they make the man out to be a dick immediately. Like they're like, the picture falls and it falls in the fire, and he's like,
oh well.
Well, first he's like kind of redeeming. He's like, oh wait, I want to get the picture out. That's my, my baby mama, right? And then he's like, whatever. It's a little burnt. Throw it in the fire. It's like, wow, you're not just like. It's one of those things where it was an accident, and you could be like, oh, he just doesn't want to stick his hand in there. But they're like, no, we're gonna make sure that he's a complete jackass.
And then the dream sequence was really weird and like unnecessary.
Yeah, but I think that part of that is just the spectacle of the movie. It's like, hey, look at
that's definitely like look at all this is our visual effects reel.
No, absolutely.
Right? But I just felt like there was nothing that in that sequence that added to the movie. It was cool seeing it, but didn't really add to the movie. It always felt like we gotta get this to an hour.
Yeah, I think that because it, obviously, but I think an hour back then was like a long time for a feature film. Yeah. I do like the ending too. The ending's very nice. It's just, it just kind of it ends the right way.
Like, I was worried like the kid was gonna go to the girl and then that was it, and he's just a tramp again. But I was like, oh no, the cop's gonna get him. Oh no, where's he taking him? It's like, oh.
And the cop, like everyone ends up being a good guy. And it's also like little things like again, like the window scene where I just love the kid. He's like throwing a rock and the cop sees him and he's like, just throwing it in the trash can, sir. Yeah. Like even the kid knows the racket. Like he knows how to work the system. And I like there's little things like where he's like, go turn on the gas, and he puts in the quarter and like then he pulls the quarter out.
Confirms that's working. Okay, yeah, and pulls the quarter out.
Yeah, it's like trap. Great. And like the kid is like 5 years old and he's like cooking up a storm. Like how many freaking flapjacks they ate.
All the pancakes.
Yeah, it's like, and again, it just you immediately fall in love with all of the characters throughout this entire movie. It is really well done. It's because it's a silent film and because of its time period. I think it's important, but it doesn't deserve to be this top 100 movies of all time.
I recommend, obviously check it out. It's a great movie and it's important just in film.
That's my point. It seems more like an assignment to a film class versus like something I would watch for.
Like, what's the kid? Let's check it out.
Yeah, it's, you know what I mean? Or like, oh, the kid's on. Let's watch it. Like, that would not be, I would be like, change, right?
Well, just so you know, that is not the last, I don't think that's the last Charlie Chaplin movie we'll see. I'm sure The Great Dictator's on here somewhere. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, The Great Dictator. That one has sound. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and it's color. Oh, yeah, it's number 54. So that is not the last we will see of Mr. Charlie Chaplin.
But I think that one's actually a little bit more serious, right? It's about...
He plays Hitler.
About as serious as you can get, folks.
But I think it's still ridiculous.
But the next... Okay, so speaking of Hitler... Speaking of
Hitler, the next movie is the 2009 hit Inglourious Bastards.
So yeah, so now we're moving way from 1921 to 2009.
This is a movie we could review right now, actually.
But I haven't seen this. The last time I saw it was in theaters.
What?
Yeah.
I've seen this movie probably at least 10 times.
How are you somebody who watches, well, you just answered the question, but do you watch like a lot of movies over and over and over again?
Mm-hmm. See, it depends. I could be in the mood and just, look, we like Inglourious Bastards, let's put it on. And what's good about seeing it, after you've seen it like the second time, like you don't need to sit there and stare at the screen. Correct. And like make sure you follow everything. So you can put it on and like, oh, I got to get something for dinner or pause it or whatever. Do your laundry, you don't have to sit there and watch it. It's just a freaking enjoyable movie.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Quentin Tarantino, but again, I haven't seen this one since it came out in theaters.
Oh my god, dude. The opening scene. Oh my
god. We'll talk. We'll of course we'll talk about
it. Getting goose pimples just thinking about it, man. It's so good.
So that'll be 94. So definitely follow along.
94.
But shoot us an email or leave comments down below in the YouTube video. Let us know if you watched the kid or what you thought of the kid. Or
yeah, if you're following along with us, let us know if you think what would be your rating: thumbs up, some thumbs sideways, or thumbs down,
and why.
Because
at the same time, like you said, I don't know if there'll be too many like thumbs down. I was looking at this list, like looking further up, and I think there's
going to be some thumbs down. I already know as well.
Yeah, because there's some. I think, what did we say? You saw like 40. I've seen like 60 of the 100. So yeah, there are some that I'll have a lot of debate, I'm sure.
Cool.
But definitely shoot us your email. Let us know what you thought. The email address is
sitdownstandard@gmail.com.
And also, if there's a movie or TV show or game or whatever you want,
check out the list. What movie is that you think deserves to be on the list and it's not on the list, and why?
I want to know all those those closet Charlie Chaplin fans, what they think of the kid. Until next time, bye.
See ya.